My name is Jim Williams. I am the commercial strategist at a research technology firm called Premise Data. You can think of us as a TaskRabbit for research. So we have millions of app users who earn cash by completing a whole variety of work, research tasks in particular, in 130 markets worldwide. I first learnt about the Global Market Research Report back in 2018 or 2019 when I was doing a very simple first market sizing exercise, and my colleague pulled up this massive report full of all the tables that I needed. And back then, 3 or 4 years ago, I only had a brief chance to work with it. But over the last couple of weeks, I've been spending a lot of time deep in the tables of the 2021 and 2022 Global Market Research Reports, and it's been very, very useful. So as the commercial strategist at Premise, since we're a research technology company, we have the ability to be disruptive in the market research sphere, but we want to know where we can add the most value. So I use the Global Market Research Report to help me both answer important questions about the size of the market, but also to give me data that I can use as hunches, as starting points for questions. For example, there's this excellent table that goes into the ratio of market research spend to advertising spend country by country, and I'm able to see that the ratio between those two is dramatically different in markets that have some similar characteristics. So seeing those differences, such as the difference between a very high ratio of market research spending against advertising in India and a very, very low ratio of market research spend to advertising in Nigeria, that gives me questions that I can then go and ask my stakeholders to find out what's happening there, what's the shape of the market. Is that because there's a gap, or is it because there's a market distortion of some kind? So one of the things that I do is try and estimate the size of any given consumer market. So Premise's specialism is providing market research at scale in emerging markets to commercial and consumer goods companies to work out which markets we want to build our really large user bases in. I need to have an assessment of how big the commercial market is for consumer goods, but then also how big the market is for, say, advertising and then market research. So one thing that I do is put the data alongside measurements of consumer spending, whether household spending or per capita spending, in order to be able to detect where there might be significant anomalies in what's happening with the market research spend. I also put it together with data on average salaries for an individual person to get a sense of how valuable it might be for a crowdsourcing app like Premise to provide alternative incomes for people in these emerging markets. The Global Market Research Report goes into a lot of detail into the 3 different dimensions of research methodology, but also into the different types of provider and the different types of buyer. As a credible, disruptive research technology firm, Premise is very interested to understand which are the places where it should compete with established providers and which are the places where there might be markets that we can build. So it's very interesting for me to see that certain types of providers specialize in a particular type of methodology, and that has a very large share of the market, whereas other methodologies that look like they might be quite interesting to end consumers, such as around elements of qualitative data in emerging markets at scale, don't seem to have the same level of investment. So that puts me in a position where I can look into what the potential is for market expansion, not just competition around those more innovative methodologies. One thing that I found really very interesting to do is to look at the evolution over multiple reports of how SMR has been understanding and structuring the different types of providers into established and tech-based, how the understanding has evolved around which categories to put different companies in. That's been a brilliant insight for me into seeing how the industry is evolving, especially as someone working for a research technology firm, understanding that companies like Premise are changing how SMR and others understand the structure of market research itself has been fascinating. But that's also helped me understand how consumers of the end data, agencies, panel providers might also be thinking about where research technology sits in the industry.